Hi, hun. How are you?
Hi, Jeff. I'm good. Yourself?
Very well. I think we should just chat a little bit loosely before let a few people get on here.
Yeah, sure.
My friend Tokar was just on here, who sells wine through an importer distributor that I work with, and the way I found out about you was that chat you were doing about Pinedes, I think with Frank,
Yeah,
the
about
Corpina.
Corpinat. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I was going to interview Marcel Sabate,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "Oh, you should watch this. It's a very smart discussion about the things that I need to know in advance of that." And so then I was like, "Wow, these guys are really fantastic," and started following you, and then we started chatting. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much. And I didn't realize that you started to watch with that session with Corpinat. Because like it became supernatural. We were following each other when the confinement started, lockdown started with our sessions, and
Hmm.
then we were exchanging some ideas,
Exactly.
expertise. Yeah, so I lost track that when we met for the first
Right.
time.
Well, because then you had that thing where you moved to Facebook, and it was
Yeah, because I
it's
got hacked.
unbelievable. So let's
Yeah.
let's go ahead and start. And I would ask you. And so this is more of a chat back and forth where we kind of both talk about what we learned. And I do have some questions, but I fully would like to just make it more of a discussion than an interview.
Sure.
But I'll introduce myself, and then I'll ask you to introduce yourself so your people know who. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sommelier wine director in New York City. When this all went down and everything closed right around in March, friends of mine who live in the suburbs of Hartford, Connecticut, invited me up. And so I came up here, and I was thinking about all my friends back home stuck in their studio apartments in New York. But I was also chatting with a winemaker who I was like, "What's happening over there?" And he goes, "Jeff, I ordered 2,000 Chenin vines. I got to plant them on Wednesday. So the vines don't stop." And that phrase has been ringing in my head, that the vines don't stop. And it's in one way it's very optimistic, because it's like Mother Nature continues. There's going to be wine this year. Everybody has to keep going to work. And then seeing how things were happening in France, it all kind of tied together. So I started doing these, and then it ended up making a schedule for myself where at
Mm-hmm.
10 o'clock I had to have my little exercise routine done and showered and coffee and ready to go, and have shoes on rather than staying in slippers all day. So it helped me kind of
Sure.
have a structure through this. And I'm trying to figure out how to keep it going after I'm going back to New York on the 1st, and then our restaurant opens middle of August.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
where I am, and I've learned
And
a
and
lot along the way.
and you have been doing the sessions, I think, at least 5 days a week, right?
I've only missed a couple with people canceled or the internet connection didn't work, but I've done 5 a week, and sometimes 7 or so, sometimes 2 in a day. So I've done like 120 now over the whole period.
Wow,
Just
that's crazy.
crazy, but it's
Yeah,
really been good. It's like I treat it like
and
my job.
that is an amazing dedication.
Thank you. So tell me about you, because I really don't know too much about what your job is and what you do and what your background is.
Yeah. And most probably you don't know that I've been living in New York for about 7 years.
I did see that you have a lot of the same, we know some of the same people. So
Same
I actually didn't
people.
know 7 years, but what did you do in New York?
Yes, actually, I don't know when you started to work in Waverly Inn, but Waverly Inn was one of my favorite spots because I used to work super close. I used to work in West Village, Carmine, 7th Avenue South and Carmine.
Uh-huh.
There's there used to be a little restaurant, Isa Wine and Chocolate Bar. Back then, we had two locations, one in West Village and Midtown. And then a few years later, we closed the West Village location, and it's only in Midtown right now.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Ayza, Ayza.
Oh, I don't think I know that.
Now it's on 31st and 5th.
Okay.
But in 2011, I think it was Carmine and 7th Avenue South at the corner of
Because I
the, yeah.
started in February of 2011 at Waverly.
Okay, so actually, I mean, I worked in West Village for about 4 years between 2012 and
Oh, then
2016, and yeah, we were
we've
like,
definitely crossed paths
yeah,
then.
2 or 3 blocks away from each other. And I used to love Waverly Inn, and especially the small garden, like cute garden that you
Yeah.
guys have. It's not very small in if you
Yeah.
in the conditions of the New York, but it's still really cute. So yeah, anyways,
That's so
but now we met during the confinement
uh,
on
so
Instagram.
weird.
Yeah, so now I'm back in Barcelona. Before I used to live in New York. I used to live in Barcelona as well. I did my master's here, but I'm originally from Istanbul, from Turkey. I'm a chemist, but then I never worked as a chemist except two vintages that I did in Penedès 2016 and 17. I kind of follow the path of like business and marketing and then wine studies. And now I call myself as a wine and marketing specialist.
Hmm.
I've been working in the wine industry for about 8 years now, but my background, marketing background, is more than my wine background, so I combined both of them. And then I did two vintages in Penedès in one of the corporate producers, actually, Torello. And now, currently, I work in Torres, Familia Torres, as a senior global brand manager. So I'm like, following my path in the marketing in the wine world.
What got you to Spain in the first place?
I did my master's here. So I studied chemistry in Turkey. No, actually, the first place it was before than that. I did an Erasmus. I don't know what you know what it Erasmus is, because I think in
Oh,
States it doesn't exist, but it's an exchange program.
okay.
So you do like one semester or two semesters in another university, which is part of the same group. I did my exchange in the chemistry engineering in Spain, in Valencia, and I loved it. And then I went back to Turkey and then finished my degree. And then a year after, I came to Barcelona to do my master's in marketing. And then I stayed for about 4 years. I worked here, and then the crisis hit 2008. But then the strongest part was like 2010, 11, and it was becoming really difficult to find a good job, especially if you are not from the European Union, because Turkey, being Turkish,
Right.
doesn't help either.
Yeah.
And then I got an opportunity in 2012 in New York, and that's when I moved to New York. And then I came back in 2000, in the beginning of no, in the end of 2018. So
Mhm.
6 years and 6 years and a half in New York, and now back to Barcelona.
Wow. My friend Carrie Sumner makes wine in the Roussillon, and they love Barcelona and go very often. And I think Bar del Pla and I follow each other. Do you know Bar del Pla?
Bar de Pla.
Bar del Pla. My Spanish is not there, but it's a what do you call it? Snacky taverna.
Yeah, tapas bar, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I am bad with the names, but if I
Mhm.
see the place, most
Probably been
probably,
there.
yeah, I've been there. Because also, when I first saw you, like when I first saw your profile, and I read Beverly Inn, and then it didn't ring the bell, and then I Googled it, and I saw the place, the
Oh,
picture,
that's
and I
so
said, yeah,
funny.
yeah, that's familiar. Yeah,
So,
that's the
what has
thing.
been your experience with the quarantine, and how did your job change?
The thing, my job, I got a promotion right after.
I
That
love
was
it.
cool, actually. Yeah, I mean, because the wine industry got affected a lot, and especially if you're on the hospitality side. But I don't know, maybe the some of the sessions that I started to do online, my personal initiative maybe helped, so that HR realized, oh, there is a person like that, and let's promote her. So I was when I during the quarantine hit, when it hit, I was working in trade marketing
Hmm.
for Spain, responsible of our international brands, because Torres also is an importer and distributor, so we
Yeah.
import international wines. So I was responsible of the international wines for Spanish market in the trade marketing. And then in the beginning of June, I got a promotion. Now I'm in the strategic marketing
Oh,
as a global senior brand manager of Torres core brands. So this is something positive to me, which happened during quarantine. But apart from that, in the mid-March, when the lockdown happened, and then we started to, we were not allowed to go out in Spain. Um, at first it sounded, I mean, obviously it's a shock, a
yeah.
huge change. But then I liked to be indoors at home, because like my I live in Barcelona, but my work is in Penedès. So I used to do every day return 160 kilometers almost per day. So like 3.5 hours every day return, yeah, by
Oh my
train.
God.
Yeah, yeah. So then first I didn't really mind it, just
Yeah.
working from home. It was
Sure.
okay. And then right away I started with this wine talks. I started on the second week of lockdown.
Mhm.
So it really gave me a purpose, because in the beginning you used to do sessions until my Instagram got hacked. I was doing 5 sessions per week,
Well,
and
yeah.
it really gave me purpose, because I was looking for the session, and every day it was the fixed time. And then we were deciding, Frank and I, we were doing 3 sessions: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Frank Smolder's Master of Wine. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I was interviewing a producer. So with Frank, we were choosing a topic, and then we were discussing about that topic. And it was giving me a purpose, because I was also preparing myself in advance for that topic. And
Right.
it helped me a lot to keep on track, to have a purpose, and to motivate myself. And then also I said, okay, in the meantime, I'm in the lockdown, I'm saving so much time and so much money, and I'm doing these live talks. I said, okay, maybe I should just apply to Master of Wine Studies. So in the meantime, yeah, I was studying. I applied.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did. I mean, to me, it became a really good experience
Yeah.
professionally and personally. And I applied. The applications open in May, and then you do all your online application and so on, and then you take an exam, practice and theory. I did the exams in July, and now I'm waiting for the results. They're gonna publish it in September if I'm in or not. If I'm in, then I'll start as an officially stage 1 student
Okay.
in the Master of Wine
And
Institute.
is that self-directed over there, or are there classes you take that are
There is one per year, one seminar per year that you need to attend. It's obligatory, but you can choose it. You can either do it in Austria and Rust, or you can do it in Washington State, New York. Washington State, United States, and then Australia, Perth. So
right?
you choose one or the three of them, and then you do 1 week. It's obligatory per
Mhm.
year, and then the rest is self-study.
Wow, that's ambitious. Good luck. That's a
Yeah.
lot. Good
Thank
luck
you
getting
so
get
much.
the results.
Thank you
But
so
you
much.
were saying, that you got promoted because you were quick to adapt and jump on here, and I do think that's a thing. I hope it happens to me. That, but it's adapting and saying, okay, well, what are the avenues that are out there for us? And I have a circle of friends. They started this summation live
Mhm.
Instagram, kind of as a community building thing, but it's like we all have to learn how to do this stuff now. Everybody's figuring out Zoom and Facebook. How did
Yeah.
you enjoy, or not enjoy, but when you got hacked, you had to go figure out and you moved to Facebook. Did you enjoy that, or did you learn from it, or are you going to keep it up?
Yeah, actually, that was a learning curve as well, the Facebook, because first when I got hacked, and that the same day I had a session, and I was looking forward to that session because it was going to be a blind tasting exercise. It was going to be something interactive with a good friend of mine, Ricardo, a wine academicer. But then I got hacked just 1 hour before the session. So I was disappointed, and I was sad. I didn't know what to do. And then there was a period that I didn't know if I was going to recover the account or not. And then I recovered after 3-4 weeks, thanks to a friend of mine who works in Facebook, helped me. Otherwise, you cannot have a contact for Instagram or Facebook. They don't have a call service.
Yeah.
And then I was discussing with Frank, okay, what should we do? Should I open a new account and start from zero on Instagram? And he said no, because his account on Instagram was not really super strong either. But his account on Facebook is really strong. He has so many followers. And then my account on Facebook is quite okay. I have a good community there. And then we said, okay, let's try on Facebook. So we did one session. And then we were super surprised, because in Instagram, we were reaching, obviously, like during the sessions, you have a certain number of people who attend, but then you can reach to more people. But we were reaching maximum to 400, 500 people, like
Mhm.
the watches. But in Facebook, the first session we did, we reached to 1,300 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like a super learning experience.
Okay.
And then what we realized, the audience in Instagram and Facebook is totally different,
Yeah.
very different audience. But in our session in Instagram, we had a small audience that who were following every session on Instagram, and then we
Yeah.
built that on Facebook as well.
Hmm.
So we liked Facebook too, but there were more logistic difficulties on Facebook.
Oh.
Yeah, Instagram is very straightforward, and it's easy. But in Facebook, sometimes the audio, it's difficult to invite someone to the session. It doesn't work every time, and both of you need to be connected in the same type of device. If one is on iPad and the other one on laptop, doesn't work.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So there were some problems, but overall it was a good experience. And so with Frank, we finished everything on Facebook, and now obviously we did a break on summer, because Frank started to travel again for work. And now the idea is in September after summer, we will come back with a new project.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know where we are gonna do it, either Instagram or Facebook. We haven't decided yet, but it's not gonna be like daily sessions or weekly. It's gonna be much less, maybe twice a month or once a month. Totally different concept. I'm giving a teaser now. So yeah, hopefully we will come back.
so how are you gonna implement this kind of thing into your job? Is that gonna change, or it's what you're already doing?
No, this is not. This is what I'm doing on Instagram now. It's totally personal. It's my own initiative, not related to my job. Although sometimes I used to do sessions with the brands that I was representing when I was in trade marketing, and maybe I can do some sessions with Torres now. But this is totally a side project for me. The thing is, like, for me, normally my sessions that I used to do, like every day on a fixed time, I used to do them at 7 p.m. Central European time. So meaning I work normally until 6 p.m. and then I can do after work. But the thing is, if I go to work by train, I'm commuting every day. There is no way that I'm back at 7 p.m.
Right.
But again, a good thing of the confinement for me and for my company, they realize that people working from home, they are working really productively, and even more productive than being at the office. And
Wow.
they liked it. And now, as of September, until September, we're working from home. As of September, we will go back to the office, but it's going to be 50% working from home, 50% working from home, from the office.
Yeah.
So then I will choose that day that I do live session working from home, and then when I finish my work, I will jump onto the session. That's my plan.
That's really cool. So, I want to ask you if you've done any cool online seminars, because very, very quickly when this went down, there was going to be an Alto Adige seminar that they very quickly got the group of people and sent wines to us via FedEx, and then did a Zoom class, and it was great. And then a month or so later, they did another one, only they had the winemakers in their vineyards and stuff, which was super cool. And I just thought, you know, we used to have to go, they would have them in the city at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. You'd have to go into the city earlier, and then it would kind of mess up your whole day to build around that, and then before your shift as a sommelier. And I just thought how much nicer it is to be able to do that. And then recently, Wines of Burgundy or Bourgogne did another one that was like a trivia game, and you broke off into pairs, and it was a 2-hour thing, but it went really, really well. And I'm just impressed with how things are going, and I'm just wondering if you're seeing the same on your side.
Yeah, actually, I personally attended to a few seminars, and mostly I attended the seminars of Institute of Master of Wine, because I think it was such a valuable experience, because normally you don't see 4 or 5 masters of wine at the same time. And then they did it totally free, open to everyone on Zoom. And you would have in every session 4 or 5 different masters of wine, like a discussion. And masters of wine from anywhere, from Australia, from Singapore, from California, from Europe. So I think that was super valuable. And I attended a few sessions on Bordeaux as well. But I also did a few sessions like that at work. So what we did with the brands that I used to represent in Spain in the trade marketing, like let's say Ornellaia or Lanson, Champagne Lanson, it was one of my brands, or Terroir à Limite from Priorat. Because we couldn't do any visits to our clients or on-trade clients and sommeliers, we did sessions online. So we were sending the bottles to the home delivery to the sommeliers. And then with the winemaker having present, we were doing a session. I think it went really well. The first we were thinking, would it be the same experience instead of doing those tastings in person? I think it was a great experience, and it even made people, the audience, to feel more closer to the winemaker.
Yeah.
Because when you do a presential session, obviously it's great that you're in the same room, but then sometimes you feel intimidated to ask a question, or you cannot ask question. You are sometimes at the back of the room. But when you do sessions with Zoom, you're super close, although you are obviously miles away, but you're super close. And then you can ask any question you want. You don't feel intimidated because you have the feeling that you are one-on-one.
Yeah. And
I think it is,
it's people
yeah.
are getting used to it too. It's very intimate once you get over the first one or two times, because it
Mm-hmm.
feels, it's a little bit of adjustment. But then, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of people that I've tried to interview that don't feel comfortable on a camera and don't feel comfortable with their language. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had people just say no. But I think everybody's slowly realizing you're going to be stuck at home alone, and your job means getting out there.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing is, actually, if you allow me, I just want to say one key learnings from
yes.
here, and it's something personal, and I think it's super important. During the sessions, especially the way we did with Frank, choosing one topic per session and discussing about that topic, I had this idea for about 3 years already.
Oh,
And I didn't know, like, obviously it was not maybe Frank, but I wanted to do like a short sessions about like 20, 30 minutes, choosing a topic like elegance in wine or tannins in wine, and talking about around that topic. But I wasn't feeling comfortable with me being in front of camera. And
hmm,
I was always like trying to sabotage myself. Okay,
yeah.
why should people watch my sessions? You know, who am I?
I'm
And
exact.
then, yeah, I was like always postponing the idea. First I was feeling super excited, and then the next day I was sabotaging myself. And then when the lockdown hit, I said the first week, like this, I think they 2 or 3, I saw a few online sessions, and I said, okay, now it's the time. So if I don't do it now, when will I ever do it? And
Right.
then I asked to Frank, and again, when I wanted to ask him, I was also sabotaging myself. Okay, will he like the idea? Will he not? He's a master of wine. He is busy, and so on. And I proposed him to do one session per week, and then he loved the idea. He said, "No, let's do 3 sessions per week." So then we started right away, and until that moment, we both of us never done a live session before, not even a video, not even 3 seconds of video. I have never done in
Yeah.
Instagram because it was my phobia. And then after the first session, every session, obviously, we learned a lot. We felt more comfortable, but then we enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the key things that I learned. You don't have to be perfect to start, but you just need to start, and then it will eventually evolve. And then you will never be perfect, because I don't think that perfect exists. And if it exists, it would have been so boring. But anyway, so that is, I think, one key thing that I learned personally.
No, I think that's a very good lesson, and I'm glad you said that, because I've always been camera shy. I don't like having my picture taken. I don't like being in front of the camera at all. But I kind of have dreams of doing more wine marketing and trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out more of the social media. And I know there's something on Instagram when you post pictures of yourself, the algorithm just boosts it, and you get more activity from
Mm-hmm.
pictures of yourself. And so
Yeah.
I was forcing myself to do it, and I'm following a lot of influencers and just saying, okay, just do this. And then when this happened, I packed a bag for 2 weeks, so I literally have 4 shirts that I've been doing over the whole 4 months, and my all my feed there's like 4 shirts. And it's this whole thing is people realize that it's a global emergency. People are just making do. They're not going to be judging, and I just realized nobody cares. I'd get the same way too. Like, why should anybody want to watch me talk for half an hour? But
Yeah.
it's 100%. But I think there's something about the pandemic gives people permission to be less than perfect. Because if you waited until you had a polished film studio, you'd never do it.
Yeah, then you would have lost a chance as well. But the
Yeah,
thing is also also another important thing is, I think, to have a fixed format and a clear and simple format and consistency. So, for example, what you do is like you do the vineyard chats, and it's always the same format, like really to the point.
yeah,
And I think that's also really important. It's always like super interesting to watch like the people that you are with,
thank you.
and it's always like kind of super natural. It's like, it's flowing.
Yeah, but you there's the other thing too is having Frank and you, it's like you ask the questions, and I know you know the answers more often than not, but you have a little humility and ask for the audience too, and that is kind of important.
Yeah, I think that is also important because in the first place, first idea was doing the sessions for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But then obviously we realized that 15 minutes is very short. And then if we want to include the audience, it is almost impossible. So then we kind of, it was again, the first week, it was like a trial and then just do and learn. And then we realized that it's really important to include the audience because it makes it like more interactive. And then once you include the audience, then you have like a core followers that who always watch your session. So that's why we did like, and also Frank has like 30 years of experience in the industry. He became a master of wine in 91, and I'm still obviously newbie. And for me, learning from him is very important. So although I know the answer, it was always like, first I was asking him his opinion, and also our opinions, sometimes they're different. But yeah, I think it was, and also we were asking the opinions of the audience.
Right. But you're the new generation of people that are educating and out there, and so it's very important for people to see that. What do you think about one of the hardest things for me? It's actually much easier to just get on here live and go than to do a tweet beforehand and to post on my stories and put it on Facebook and put it on LinkedIn. It is so hard for me to put myself out there and self-promote and say, look at me, but you have to do it if you're going to be successful at this. What did
Yeah.
you learn about that? Do you hate it or love it, and how do you do it?
The thing is, like, first, again, when we first planned, right away we planned for the first 3 weeks. So we knew that the first 3 weeks schedule, and then we knew the topics of the first 3 weeks. And then in advance, I prepared myself like a visual to announce, and then a schedule and agenda for the 3 weeks. Obviously, it was like a little bit pain in the neck to decide the right format, you know, what you want to show. And then I lost so much time with that, especially in the first weeks. But then once I was like, again, confident with the format, it was like really just like straightforward and easy. And
Mm-hmm.
I found it really useful to announce the session in advance to tell people. And I, actually, in the beginning, I was announcing for the entire week. Let's say weekend before for the upcoming week, the entire week, and then every day announcing the topic of the day. I think that was really important for people to know what is your schedule for that week, and then obviously, and there was something, especially on the as of third week of the lockdown, Instagram became super saturated, and everyone started to do lives. So then people were looking at your agenda, and then they were like picking what they want to do,
That's very
what they want to attend. But always the most difficult part, and which I hated, was the post production. You know, like then, because in the beginning also it was very difficult, and I think Instagram learned a lot.
yeah.
In the beginning, it was impossible to save
Oh,
the video,
yeah.
the recording. So what I was doing is like I downloaded to my phone, my iPad, like 3, 4 different screen recording applications, and trying to record it, and then it didn't work. And sometimes I lost the sessions. And I think you and we were
You
talking
did.
about that. And then
Uh-huh.
I was trying to download them and upload to YouTube. You know, it was a mess.
Yeah.
I hated that part, but now Instagram made it much easier.
Now it's easy.
But
Yeah.
still, now I have a YouTube channel, but I still didn't upload half of the videos because I feel lazy to do that. Like, I'm like you, I like to do the session, but I think I need someone to do the pre and the post production for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
It's almost.
because
Go ahead.
this is personal and just for fun, I don't have a budget for that. So
Exactly.
yeah, I do it myself.
Yeah. There's. It's something about when you're like, and that's why people have agents. You know, your agent can talk you up and push for you rather than you would do it for yourself. Like, maybe we should figure out a group of people that, like, I'll tweet your stuff and you post my stuff on LinkedIn or something like that. 'Cause it's easier to do it for somebody else than it is to do it for
Yeah.
yourself. And
Actually, yeah, it's a good idea. Maybe we can start a community.
you know, we have to think about that and like
Yeah, yeah.
somehow. The other thing that I got to say has been good for me is one of the goals I had in this was to talk to small family winemakers, and I've done some big ones too, because that's where the money is. I mean, not that I'm making any money, but that's the
Mhm.
people that are out there. And
Yeah.
and so when I would have days where I was like, oh, I'm really not up for this, I would just remember I'm hopefully helping spread the word of a winery I believe in or a region that needs more attention, and that always helped me. Was there other little things like that that made you get through when it was a tough day?
Actually, yeah, it's a good point because there were a few days that I didn't really feel like doing that, but I was like, but I announced it and I have a promise, a commitment to the other person, and I have to do it. So what I think to me it was in those days, which I didn't feel like, what I was doing is I was trying to open a really nice bottle of wine that I have at home, just like to enjoy the wine during the session. So it was something like to look forward. Okay, I will taste this wine today. But apart from that, I think I felt that a few times, but as soon as I started the session, then that feeling is gone. Yeah, you
Yeah.
enjoy it a lot. But obviously, for me, the sessions with Frank was much easier than my guest because Tuesdays and Thursdays I was inviting the guests. I'm not saying that the flow was not easy, but to me to get in the mood because with Frank I know what to expect
Yeah.
and we already have the flow and then we already know almost what to expect from our audience. But
Hmm.
every time once it's someone else, I think the energy is really very important apart from the topic that you're talking. So you don't know what to expect. Sometimes some people are not really easygoing like you and I at the
Right.
moment. You need to like push them, you need to ask them questions, you need to make them
Exactly.
talk.
Yeah.
So that was sometimes was some days it was like kind of you feel moody, but I think the
I
rest was a good.
I have found that some. So by the way, it's a half hour already. Can you stick around for 10 or 15 more
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
As long as people are not bored
Oh yeah,
and
exactly.
enough
Okay.
bored, I am enjoying it.
Okay. No, but I find because every day I do somebody new, I'm going to start doing repeats to kind of see what's happened in 3 or 4 months. And I'm also trying to figure out a way to do during harvest. I think
Mhm,
I'm going to give everybody that I've talked to my WhatsApp and just say, hey, if you've got 5 minutes during harvest, send me a text. And if I'm available, we'll just jump on and do a quick live because I think people never in winemakers never bring you over during harvest and we don't see it. You probably do because you're in
yeah.
wine country, but we never see harvest, and I think that's a
Mhm.
fascinating little snippet to show
Yeah,
people.
I think it's an amazing idea. I think many because also not also the people in the wine industry, as you said, many people in the wine industry they don't know the harvest, but wine lovers
Yeah,
they are so curious about the harvest. So I think it's a great idea to show what's going on in the vineyard, and then maybe after the harvest you can do some sessions from
yeah,
the winery to show the
exactly.
deposits and stuff. Yeah.
But I got it makes me think of in the restaurant when people are kind of being disrespectful with wine or wasting it or something. I'm like, people carry that on their back. Be respectful of
Be
that.
respectful.
And also, I was going to say that having a new winemaker that I have or a person I haven't spoken to, you never know. Usually, they're nervous for the first 5 minutes, and you got to build that rapport. And so, it's always I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about? So, I have found that a lot of winemakers. So, on one hand, I hear a lot of people say it's hard to maintain a vineyard, it's hard to make the wine, but it's really hard to sell the wine. And
Hmm.
I find that Instagram or social media is a very good way to connect to your consumer as a winemaker. But so many are reluctant to do it. And some people just, I mean, it's hard to get an email sometimes from a winemaker, let alone get a social media presence. But and I've been wanting to write an article to say, hey, winemaker, get on Instagram, just start an account that, everybody out there drinking wine now is on social media, even if they can just tag you so that people can find out more about your wine or know it or
Hmm.
get to your website. I think it's important. What are your thoughts about winemakers and social
Yeah.
media? Should they do it? Is it worthwhile?
Actually, it's a really good point because also what you said, like it's very difficult to sell wine unless you are, I don't know, like Vega Sicilia or like Chateau Lafite, Petrus. Obviously, everyone is in your waiting list, but we don't have to go to that extremes either. But if you're a small winemaker, it's very difficult to sell the wine because, especially in in Europe, it's a wine lake. In Europe, we produce much more wine than we consume.
No.
So, and also then we export. So that's very tricky. But I think that is what happened with the COVID, with the crisis, not only in this one, but generally with the other crises before. The crisis don't change things. Crisis accelerate things. And this was already happening, like the digitalization, Instagram, social media. It was already happening. Like this is not something new. But wine industry was always like hesitant to do that. And I always say, wine industry, no one wants to be the first. They always want to be the second because they want someone to do and to be successful, and then they will do it. So I did actually a year and a half ago when I did my diploma. After the diploma, there's a study that you do in Austria or Germany. It's a wine academicer, and my thesis was about this: the data in my glass, like big data, and how you can use it in the wine industry, also in relation with the social media. I think that is super important because nowadays all the communication it's there, it's in social media. But one thing is like, yes, people are a little bit hesitant to go on social media because they don't think that it is going to be like bringing a return on investment right away. But social media is an investment that you can do, I think, at the lowest investment that you can do, like nowadays. And when you do a social media account, you don't need to do it again perfect. You just need to communicate. You just need to connect. But you need to find true connections and the trust. I think that's super important. They
Yeah,
need to do it.
I agree, and I don't know what to do with that, but I just find that it's very valuable. And once people get on there, and even if it's their daughter or son or a junior marketing person on their staff or whatever, I think they're always happy afterwards. It's just a matter of, because again, your return on investment, it's hard to measure that.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you, what are you doing to take care of yourself and not go crazy during this period
During the confinement.
of confinement? Yeah.
To be honest with you, not much. I'm just watching Netflix and eating and drinking. No, kidding. At the first month and month and a half, I was like doing everything, like yoga, Pilates, and continue like following the online sessions, sports, workout, and so on. And doing in the morning ginger shots to increase my
Music.
immune
Yep.
system. And then a month later, I started to put on weight because I was doing sports, and then I was saying, okay, I'm doing sports, so I can eat more. And
Yeah.
I said, okay, this is not something for me, and I quit. Now I'm not doing much. I do once a week yoga, and then I go out. I do cycling. Uh, but to keep my mindset like really focused and healthy, I think I started to have some different hobbies that I didn't have before, like doing some how do you call it,
Yep.
ceramic, yeah,
Butter.
at home. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but there's a material that you can do it at home. You don't need to have an industrial oven. You can
Oh,
just do it in your own oven. So I'm more like, rather than taking care of myself physically, it's like more mentally.
yeah. I
Yeah.
find I find myself, I'm trying to just read more, but I do ebooks because the library's closed and I just
Yeah.
can't keep buying books. And so I'm on my iPad, so I'll read a few pages, then I'll go look on Instagram, then I'll go look on Facebook, then I'll look on Twitter, and my concentration is shot.
Yeah.
Mm, let's
Yeah.
see.
But
Go
so
ahead.
then how so now you're gonna go back in August, right? And
Yeah,
then
ideally, I mean, supposedly we're going to open the restaurant mid-August, and the way it works in the city now, they've closed some streets, but for the most part, restaurants that are like, we're on a corner, and well, you know where we are. So in front,
yeah.
like the width of the restaurant, there's about 2 or 3 car parking spaces that we can put tables there. And then on the corner, there's a fire hydrant, so we have to move like 15 feet. And we have another, like the length of the restaurant. So I think we have room for like 60 tables outside, or 60 seats.
Hmm.
60 seats. So we're going to do that, and more thinking about it as getting ready for the fall, because we're always quieter in the summer, and then it's busier after Labor Day, end of August. And so we're kind of just going to ramp up to figure that out. And so yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going back in a week now on the first, a week from
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Let's see how it's gonna be like adapting to the city life again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been in this beautiful suburban part of Connecticut where there's,
Yeah,
trees behind. It's like so great. And I go for a walk every
yeah.
day. And
And then your scene when you're back, the scene of the background of your sessions will change even obviously, right? Because
yeah,
you
I don't know
won't have.
what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a white wall behind me. And I was just, 'cause
Yeah,
in Zoom, you can put a background behind you.
yeah,
But on
exactly.
Instagram, you can't do it. So I don't know what.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just going to be a
Or
blank.
you can just go to Central Park or Washington Square Park,
Well, but
and then
then
you
I'm
can
afraid
remember.
because one of the other bad part about interviewing people in their vineyards is we have a beautiful connection, but very often they're outside on their data line from their phone, and the
Yeah,
connection's not great. And I still find it worthwhile doing to let people see outside in the vineyard. But then I would have the bad. Well, I guess I'd probably have a
yeah,
decent connection because it's still the city. But so
yeah,
who knows? Who knows?
yeah. You'll just like try and
Yeah,
learn.
exactly. Have you? I'll let you go shortly, but one of the things that I keeps coming up is I'm finding that everybody their HVE and is HVE just French the high environmental value or is that an EU thing? I think it's just France.
I think it is friends because I haven't heard of it
Okay.
before.
So
HVE.
that's
Okay.
I'm starting to hear people talk about that where it's like you have to implement stuff to be environmentally sustainable like pesticides or using runoff water or solar and it's every year you have to do something different. I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing a lot of that and then I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like the people that I've been interviewing, if they're on Instagram, they're not a old world traditional doing things the same way thing. They're
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more forward thinking because they're on social media. And I have come across more and more people doing biodiversity. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated in that because it's like working on soil health. And rather than people say, I'm growing wine. Now they're saying I'm growing the soil to make the soil really strong and healthy and resilient. And that's the fascinating trend that I've come across from talking to all these people. Have you come across things like that you see that's kind of a underground buzz that is happening that's out there?
The thing is, my talks, I was not, I mean, depending on with how, who I am talking, but I was not really focused on much in that aspect of the vineyard. But depending on the producer, like sometimes I had a grower or a small family business producer or biodynamic producer. Yes, we were talking about that as well. But it was one of the things that we were discussing with Frank is like with trends. We were obviously debating about the trends, like the natural wine trends and organic versus natural wine trends. But during the confinement, I think nothing specifically drew my attention except wineries trying to adapt themselves in the situation of the online communications and online sales.
And on, yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
like, don't really, a lot of wineries in Europe don't have their website, selling wine through their website, and that's been very critical over here. Especially like California, I think has been very successful with staying up through this because they've always had a direct to consumer channel, and it
Yeah.
is
Uh-huh.
happening more over there.
Yeah, now actually that's a good point. Now, many wineries in Europe, especially also where I work as well, we started to discuss more about direct to consumer. So how can we reach the consumer? I think that the models is changing. I think the industry model will change slowly, but eventually. The middleman, it obviously depends where you are in states. In every state, you have different, the three tier system and different laws. But I think in Europe, the places that you can allow the middleman, the distributors, will start to lose the importance, and then the direct to consumer will become more important. Yeah, I think it feels like now this is the trend, and then people are like trying to explore their options, how they can reach the consumer and consumer.
Yeah, I wonder. I was just as you said that I kind of because there's so many sommeliers out of work right now, and I almost think because the sommelier is the guy who kind of shepherded you through the wine list and took you through
Yeah.
uncomfortable territory, and I just had a thought of if every winery out there is trying to sell themselves through their own website, you kind of need somebody to help you find those wines. So maybe there'll be some opportunity for
Yes, so then it's going to be online sommeliers now. A few websites already they are doing it, and then they have like I don't know if you have seen it. Like now, there's like marketplace, not only one e-commerce website selling through only one resource, but there's marketplaces, so you can list many wines from different distributors. And most of them, they start to have the online sommeliers. You have the bot, and then you can, consume as an end consumer, you can talk. And we also did in Torres, we also started with that. We have our team of brand ambassadors, and then they started with a Meet the Somm series. So they're like doing online sommelier sessions.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
the future.
yeah the industry the model will change a lot. But the thing is, I'm a little bit concerned about. Maybe you can tell me your view about that. What do you think that the future of the sommelier, especially sommeliers working on trade, what's going to happen? Because now on trade globally suffering a lot, and then obviously they are going to the cost reduction. And I worked in the restaurant before. I was not on the floor, but I can imagine that having a restaurant manager and having a sommelier doing two different things, and with the limited budget now, I don't think that it's going to be possible for especially main restaurants. So what do you think? What's going to happen with the profession?
The thing that I worry about, because I mean, every sommelier can, I mean, we're going to have to go be restaurant managers at least for the next year. And I think that there will be jobs because some people are just like in the city, particularly, some people are leaving and it's going to be some shakeup and hopefully we can go back to indoor dining. But for the next 6 months or at least until like October, like no one's in New York, you can only sit outside and eat. And then when it's not raining, so you're already down half of your restaurant or less. And then maybe 4/5 of the week you can have a full service. So I don't picture people sitting outside in the street ordering a $250 bottle of Bordeaux. You know, they're just going to get a simple white wine
Mm-hmm.
or something. And that's a bit seasonal, but it's also like the fine wine market is kind of on hold for now. And
Yeah.
then sommeliers, like I said, I hopefully it'll get back to normal, but a lot of restaurants have just closed. And I think a lot of us are going to end up being managers who do the wine program also, because that's how some smaller restaurants do.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of people are just going to leave and go into sales, or hopefully there will be some brand manager positions out there. And this shifting into, because I think it's a big category right now. If you see a wine that you like, it's very hard in the States to just go and find it. You know, there's not a central place. There's winesearcher.com, but it's often not correct, and it often some some esoteric wine that you or I might feature on an Instagram. If someone sees it, it's very hard to go find it, at least in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And if that could get worked out, then I think you could maybe have a little bit more hope. But it's a very weird thing, and I don't really know beyond that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
that's yeah, very weird. But you have been planting their wines, right, Shannon? So maybe you can consider that
Yeah.
possibility.
I'm kind of like the way this country's going. I'm kind of like looking at somehow finding a job in France. I'm like getting crazy over here, and New York in particular. I'm a little concerned about the economy in New York, and
Yeah.
I think Europe's going to handle it.
Are you from New York originally?
No, I'm from the Midwest, all over. I grew
Okay.
up all over the Midwest, and then I've been
Mm-hmm.
there for 25 years, so I feel like I'm a New Yorker now.
Yeah,
So,
great. Yeah, you
well,
sound like
that's
New Yorker.
yeah, exactly.
Actually,
But
we
yeah,
have a comment here.
yes.
Olya Brandon. She says, "Love the concept of meet the some virtual." Yeah, great.
I hope we can make it. I mean, I'd love to make it work. I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know where to put my energy right now. And luckily, I have my job, and I don't think there's a lot of people that are going to go. Like for now, I can be a sommelier for the next couple of months. I hope there's enough business to keep it up. And I mean, I'll be like kind of an opening manager too. There'll be
Mm-hmm.
one close one open, and I'll help out with
Yeah.
that. We'll see, but I do think there is a future for online sommeliers, but I think it's going to be the people like Dustin Wilson that were in like Somm, the movie, the kind of like
Yeah.
superstar Somms. And it's hard for someone like me to get a big following and stake a claim, at least in a way to make it financially viable. So, but some
You
will.
can never know. I mean,
No, I'm
you,
working towards that. Hopefully,
yeah, 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 yeah. No, but I think you have like your sessions are like kind of unique. So I think it's gonna be. I mean, if you want to do that, I
Yeah,
think if you dedicate yourself, you can do that because I see that your dedication for about 4 months,
yeah, yeah.
almost daily. So
I'm hoping so. I have no plans to stop. I may adjust to only doing 4 days a week or 3. I'm not really sure. Um, who knows?
yeah, and Robin says actually, have you watched a few sessions with me of
Yes,
Robin? And
yeah,
yeah, he says New York is scary, and many of the steady wine
yeah.
customers have abandoned the city.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
afraid. Yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
is. Oh, that's very kind. Oh, is that? I think that's Ariana. I gotta talk to you, Ariana. Ariana says that was great. You two should do more chats together. I would love to do more chats.
yeah. Me too,
This,
me too. I
this
would
was
love to
fun.
do that.
So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, that
we'll
was
set up
fun.
some regular ones and have a specific topic. But
Okay, that would be cool. I would
so
love
I
that.
guess, do you have anything else you want to ask? I got all my list of questions answered.
Yeah, actually, I had a few questions for you as well, but you asked those same things. What did you think about the logistic part of all the sessions, like during the session? Did you had any difficulties?
It's so I got to the point where I was sending out pointers about like how to learn to flip the phone in and out of selfie mode. When people are outside, it's very difficult, and often they're on a slope, and I worry about them tripping and falling while they flip the camera or dog. I've been always worried about like watch your step. And but between finding, if I have it propped up somewhere, but if you're holding the phone out for half an hour is very uncomfortable. And then the light in your, you want to get a view and you want to have them face you, and it's a lot. And I thank everybody that's chatted with me and they're doing it for the first time. But so I appreciate everybody's effort on doing that, but I still remember Fritz Wieninger in Vienna. He is so happy and cheerful, and he just was he didn't really get what Instagram Live was, but when he
Yeah.
realized that he was in his vineyards overlooking Vienna, and I was here in Connecticut, and he's like, Jeff, this is so cool. I can talk to people around the world live and see people who want to know about my wine, and I can talk about it to everybody, and it just brightened my day. And when I get down again, I think of someone like that really he got it, the potential of these live chats and directly meeting your consumers, and it's a nice channel to do that. And it makes me happy when I think about that.
Yeah. Now, first session that Frank and I did, we were just doing a test on the same day before the session. It's good that we did the test because I said to Frank, okay, now let's go and let's do the test. And then I just said to him, like, you need to watch and then I will invite you to the session. And then he said, fine. And then I started the session, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, Frank is not there. And then I started to have audience. People are interacting with me. I don't know what to say because this is a test. And then I called Frank. I said, like, where are you? He said, I'm here. I said, you need to watch the session. And then he said, where? I said, Instagram, Frank.
Exactly. And then
Yes.
now when that happens, now when that posts automatically to IGTV, there's that minute of you kind of sitting there with like this, like waiting, and you're like I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, I tried to cut that part when I uploaded the videos, but then I said, okay, it's like too
Yeah.
much work. Try to edit, and then I
I
just
cut
stopped
it out when I put
doing
it on YouTube, but is there a way to do that on Instagram? Just because it goes automatically
it.
now.
No, I did that to cut on the YouTube, but
Yeah.
no, on Instagram, no, there's no way.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah,
Well, my dear,
we'll see.
anyways, we're closing on the hour. We'll get cut off anyways. It is such a pleasure to spend so much time with you. I got to say that the first time I did this was with a friend on just video chat, and I never did video chats. And we had a glass of wine and a plate of food, and we sat down, and it was I mean, now it's like really nice, but it's almost as nice as sitting down with a friend because even the other thing that it's just nice you make a connection. But
Hmm.
one other little point is I talked to a winemaker, and he was like, at the end of it, he was like, Jeff, this is so great. I never get to spend a half an hour talking to a New York City sommelier, because even if it's a winemaker and they take you to dinner, there's four or
Yeah.
five somms and a salesperson and the winemaker, and you might get 10 minutes. And so these are really, really valuable for winemakers too, I got to say.
Yeah, I think that's important. They got to talk with the sommelier, as you said, like privately, and then at the same time they can direct to the consumer, the end consumer.
Exactly. Exactly. But these are
Yeah, so I think
it's very, it's like we just had an hour drink, and we became friends much more so than just chatting back and forth. So
Yeah, exactly.
I
But it
value
was
it.
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot because the thing is, you and we met on Instagram
Yeah,
thanks to those sessions, and we were exchanging some messages, but we never talked over the phone,
exactly.
or we never did a FaceTime or nothing. So it was this is the first time,
Yeah,
but it was I enjoyed it.
this has been a lot of
Okay,
fun. All right, my
yeah, and
dear, I
then
will
my
let you
battery
go, but let's talk very soon.
was dying.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I'll let you go then. It's been a true pleasure,
Okay.
Irem, and we'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
Okay,
Bye,
bye
and
bye.
enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. Bye. Bye.